What's going on, everyone? Welcome to our Thursday show, where today I'm going to go through 10 different series I'm excited for this weekend in college baseball. Opening weekend, it's come and gone, and it was glorious. Couldn't be more excited that college baseball is back. So again, just wanted to go through 10 different series this weekend that I'm particularly looking forward to, and a couple of guys you'll want to keep your eye on within each series. So starting things off, we're going to have Xavier at Arkansas. Xavier's coming into Arkansas. They're 2-2 on the season. They took 2 out of 3 from ECU on opening weekend, and then they lost in a midweek to Louisville 23-11. But the good news is they scored 11 runs, so the offense was still producing, just gave up a few too many. Now, Arkansas was down at Globe Life to open their season, where they beat Texas Tech and Oklahoma, but then ended up losing to TCU. And then in their midweek, they beat Tarleton State 3-1. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more production out of their bats this weekend. For Xavier, a couple of guys you're going to want to watch. You're going to want to keep your eye on Eddie Peters, who went 6 for 15 on opening week with 2 doubles and a home run. And then Josh Stonehouse is another guy who's producing really well for him so far to start off 2026. He went 6 for 18 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs for him. On the Arkansas side of things, you're going to want to pay attention to Ryder Helfrich. Some people made the mistake of not paying attention to him this season. Some people woke up on opening weekend and were like, hey, wait a minute, I should be paying attention to Ryder Helfrich. He's currently 5 for 17 on the season with 2 home runs, but those 2 home runs were both absolute mammoth shots, so always a guy you're going to want to tune into. And then Damian Ruiz is a Lamar transfer who really impressed in his first week with the Razorbacks. He's currently 6 for 10 on hits and then 2 for 2 on stolen bases. Now for the Friday, guys, full disclosure, I'm doing this research on Wednesday, so if something happens on Thursday, I might have missed it. It might not be in this video. Now for Xavier, Jack Nobe, who started for the Musketeers over the weekend, going 4.1 innings while collecting 2 strikeouts, allowing 5 hits and 1 run against ECU. Now on Arkansas' side of things, they're going to be starting Gabe Gackle, who's making the shift from a closer role last season into the starting role this season, and he did really well over opening weekend. He went 4.1 innings against Oklahoma State, where he only allowed 2 runs, one of which was earned, on 4 hits and 1 walk while collecting 9 strikeouts. He only had a pitch count of 75 pitches, so that's why he didn't really get extended in this one, but he's just nasty. His fastball absolutely jumps out of his hand, and he's got sharp breaking stuff to go with it, so definitely a matchup you'll want to tune into. Now, the next series I'm excited about is UNC versus ECU. They're playing what I like to call the Divorced Parents Holiday Series, where they're going to play their first game in Greenville, then the second game of the series will take place in Durham, North Carolina, and the third game of the series will take place at UNC Chapel Hill. And personally, I really love when teams do series like this because it just really makes for a lot more college baseball exposure. It can really, if there's a fan that's 2 hours away in Chapel Hill, they might not be driving to Greenville, but they'll make the drive to Durham, they'll make the drive to Chapel Hill. And these are 2 fan bases that absolutely show out for their teams. So this is always a fun series to watch. Now on the ECU side of things, they went 1-2 on opening weekend against Xavier, and then they went 1-1 in midweeks this week, losing 1 to Campbell, but then beating NIU. So they're coming into this weekend off that win. Now UNC's starting off the season hot. They're currently 5-0. They swept Indiana on opening weekend, and then they beat both Richmond and Longwood in their midweeks. For UNC, a guy you're going to want to tune into is going to be Duke transfer Macon Winslow. He's currently 4 for 12 with a double, 2 home runs, and 5 RBI, and one of those home runs was a walk-off, which is always sick. Then another guy you're going to want to keep your eye on is going to be Jake Schaffner, who over opening week went 7 for 15 with 2 triples and a home run. So he's starting off the season red hot. For ECU, guys you're going to want to keep your eye out for, you're going to want to watch Jack Herring. He's currently 6 for 17 on the season with 3 doubles and a home run. And then Austin Irby is another guy who's starting off the season on the right foot, going 5 for 13 with 3 doubles. For the Friday matchup, this is one that I'm particularly excited for. UNC is going to have Jason DeCaro, who over opening weekend against Indiana went 5 innings, only allowing 2 hits and 3 walks, picking up 7 strikeouts while surrendering 0 runs. So just a really good starter. He led the way for the Heels. And then on ECU's side of things, they're going to be starting Ethan Norby, who definitely didn't have the opening weekend I'm sure anyone was really expecting. He only went 3.2 innings against Xavier, surrendering 4 hits and 2 earned runs and 2 walks while picking up 3 strikeouts. But he does have that potential to be one of the best starting pitchers in the nation. He just usually attacks hitters with that fastball and curveball combo that I was really impressed with last season. So I'm hoping he can get back into the groove of working with that and collecting more outs for the Pirates. Now this next series I picked because both of these teams are 0-4 to start off the season, but they're both two teams that I think have a ton of potential, and they're both good baseball programs. They're just kind of not off to a hot start. They hit the ground, but they did not, hit the ground running, so to say. But someone's going to have to win this weekend at some point, so I'm excited for them each to pick up, hopefully, their first wins of the season. And that series, of course, is UConn at Arizona. So starting things off, Arizona, tough start to the season with a hard schedule. They lost to Stanford, Oregon State, and Michigan, and then they dropped midweek to Omaha. And then UConn, they also had a tough schedule to start off the season, where they lost to Nebraska, Kansas State, and Air Force. Then they dropped a midweek to Arizona State 17-7, but I think Arizona State's going to be really good this year, so I'm not too worried about that if I'm on the Huskies. For UConn, a guy you're going to want to watch is Tyler Minnick. He's currently 6 for 14 with a double, and then Jackson Marshall is another guy who's been producing for him at the plate. He's 5 for 17 with a double and a home run. On the Arizona side of things, their offense really hasn't been productive to date in this season. But if they are going to win games, 2 guys that need to click are going to be Matisse Muron and Andrew Kane. Currently, Matisse is 3 for 12 on the season and Andrew is 4 for 17. But these are both guys who have produced a lot in the past and have that potential. So once those bats start coming around, I'll see things really turn in for the Wildcats. Now, for the pitching matchups, I haven't really seen UConn's probable starting rotation for the weekend, and this is a 4-game series, so I'm just kind of taking a guess at 2 guys who I think will be throwing against each other on Friday, but 2 pitchers that are definitely going to throw this weekend. So for UConn, they're going to have Charlie West, who over the weekend, he struck out 6 over 3.2 innings of work against Nebraska at the MLB Desert Invitational. So definitely some bright spots in his outing. Just again, got to control the damage, got to limit the runs. And then on the Arizona side of things, they're going to likely be starting Owen Kramkowski, who's one of the better pitching prospects in the nation. This Arizona pitching rotation, again, it has that potential to be one of the best in the nation. We just haven't seen them perform to that potential yet. Last weekend, Kramkowski went 3.2 innings, only striking out 2 while surrendering 5 runs on 3 walks. But if he can get that command down, it's going to be lights out stuff from him. So definitely a guy you'll want to tune into. Now, the next series that I think has the potential to be a really good one is going to be Bryant at Clemson. Bryant's always finishing around the top of the America East, and then Clemson, I feel like they've been on the cusp of making it pretty deep in the postseason the past couple of years, so this could be a real season that's happening for them. Clemson started off the 2026 season hot, sweeping Army and then beating USC Upstate 7-0 in the midweek. Bryant opened up the season going 2-1 against Davidson College and didn't play a midweek, but 2 guys offensively you're going to want to watch for the Bulldogs. First off, you're going to want to watch Charlie Saul. He's currently 5 for 14 with a double and 2 home runs while driving in 7 RBI. And remember, he's just only done that in 3 games, and they haven't had one of those crazy lopsided midweek games like we've seen a lot of other guys have. So being 5 for 14 with 2 jacks already, that's insane to me. And then another guy is Casey Wensley, who's currently 7 for 11 on the season while picking up a home run and 5 RBIs. So definitely 2 guys who can produce at a high rate. And then on Clemson's side of things, Nate Savoy is a guy who, he's just electric on both sides of the ball. He's currently 11 for 15 on the season with 2 doubles and 2 home runs and 8 RBI. And both of his home runs were absolute moonshots. They would have been out at any park, so really fun home runs to watch. And more importantly, he had an outfield assist in the 3rd inning on opening day, I believe, which, talk about a hot way to start off the season. Outfield assists are the best thing in college baseball, so definitely a fan of him. And then another bat you'll want to watch for Clemson is going to be Tristan McClatty, who went 6 for 14 on opening week with 2 home runs and 5 RBI. Now this Friday matchup is going to be a really exciting one. Clemson's going to have Aiden Canuck, who's one of the top pitching prospects in the nation. He struggled a bit on opening weekend, only going 3 innings, but his defense really didn't help him. There were errors in both the first and second that really extended the inning and, caused him to have that higher pitch count. He had 69 pitches through 3 innings. That ultimately ended up, ending his outing a little bit short. So hopefully the defense can be a little bit crisper. It was opening day, so understandably there will be some kinks in the armor there. But getting that all settled, I think he'll have a really good outing. And then on Bryant's side of things, they're going to start Caden Hilberger, who struck out 6 over 3 scoreless and hitless innings in his first collegiate start against Davidson. So definitely a guy who's getting things started on the right foot. But in that game, 5 Bryant pitchers combined to strike out a single game program record 19 batters while only issuing 3 walks. Now, if you're a normal college baseball fan like me and you get excited by cool things like long home runs, then the series you're going to want to tune into is going to be Missouri State at Ole Miss. These are 2 programs that just have everybody who's going to be playing in this game looks like a grown adult playing college baseball. So Missouri State, they started off the season going 2-1 against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, and then beating Oral Roberts 11-0 in the midweek. And then Ole Miss came out hot as well, going 5-0 to start the season. They swept Nevada, and then they beat Arkansas State and Jackson State in midweeks. For Missouri State, one guy you're definitely going to want to tune into is Caden Bogenpool, who, if you've been living under a rock, you don't know about this guy, but odds are he's probably hit a home run off of said rock. You just didn't notice it because it's a baseball hitting a rock, and that's not going to make much sound. But Caden Bogenpool, every time he hits a home run, it goes about a mile. He's 7 for 18 on the season with 1 home run and 6 RBIs. And then another guy on Missouri State you're going to want to tune into is Gabe Rossler, who's currently 6 for 18 with 3 doubles, a home run, and 6 RBIs. And then on the Ole Miss side of things, they have some heavy hitters starting off the season. So first of all, they have Tristan Becerra, who's a Clemson transfer, who's currently 9 for 17 on the season with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, and 12 RBIs, which is just ridiculous because we're at a point in the season where there's teams that don't even have 12 RBIs and a lot more teams that don't even have 3 home runs. So one guy doing that, that's ludicrous work. That's not a lineup you want to face. And then you have Judd Unimark also in the same lineup, who's going 7 for 17 with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, and he's only driven in 9 RBI. So, not nearly as productive. Yes, it is. It's insane. There's going to be a lot of beer showers this weekend. Now, from the pitching matchup side of things, Missouri State's likely going to start Michael Yusupchuk, who fired 6 shutout innings in the 8-2 win over the Raging Cajuns on opening day. He only gave up 3 singles across those 6 innings while striking out 4. So definitely a guy who knows how to work through lineups, knows how to pitch. But again, it's going to be a tough lineup he's against. So really excited to see how he manages that. Now on the Ole Miss side of things, they have one of my favorite guys to watch pitch starting on Friday in Hunter Elliott. He went 5 innings against Nevada, striking out 7 while only surrendering 3 hits, 2 walks, and 1 earned run against Nevada. Now another series that I think has the potential to be a really good one is going to be the Kent State Golden Flashes come down to take on Tennessee. Now Kent State is 3-1 on this season. They swept in southeastern Louisiana and then lost their midweek to LSU 7-10. Understandable. And then Tennessee swept Nichols to start off their season, and they beat UNC Asheville 10-3 in their midweek. From the Tennessee side of things, a guy you need to tune into, just must-watch baseball, Rice transfer Blaine Brown. He's currently 9 for 17 on the season with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, and 6 RBI. And then he also started the midweek game, and all he did was deliver 96 from the left side, which that's a little bit unfair. I think he should, save some talent for the rest of us. We're all trying our best here. And then Henry Ford, Virginia transfer, is just off to a rocket start for Tennessee. He's currently 7 for 17 with 2 doubles and 2 home runs, only bringing in 4 RBI. But again, that's because not many people are on base because Tennessee just keeps on hitting home runs. Now, moving along to the Kent State side of things, before we get into these players, I just want to preface this with, I don't know how many people know this. I'm from the state of Maryland originally, and, that's home for me. And when I watch college baseball, I get excited when I see guys from the state of Maryland. And when you're outside of Maryland, it's very easy to tell who is from Maryland. There's 3 easy tells. The first one, they have some sort of apparel that has the Maryland flag on it. Yellow, black, and red. It's McDonald's colors to me, but that's something people will do. Another tell, they know what the sport lacrosse is. Or the third tell, they're either named something like Camden or Ripken. And so for Kent State, when I'm watching their game against LSU, I see number 8, Ripken Reese, walk up to the plate. I'm like, all right, there's a guy from Maryland. Lynn Rollins confirms it almost immediately coming out of Ellicott City, Maryland. So I'm excited for this kid. I'm rooting for him hard. He's currently 5 for 15 on the season with 2 home runs, so things are certainly working out for him as well, aside from just having a sick first name. And then another guy you're going to want to tune into on Kent State is Sawyer Solitaria, who's currently 10 for 19 on the season with 4 home runs, which, again, not many people are hitting that many home runs. Not many teams have that many home runs. So a lot of power in this Kent State lineup. Now on the mound, I expect Kent State to roll with Kieran Coffey for their Friday night game. Over the weekend, he pitched 5 scoreless innings while only surrendering 3 hits and striking out 8 against Southeastern Louisiana. And then for Tennessee, they're going to be starting sophomore right-hander Tegan Coons, who he was just absolutely electric in his first career start on Friday. He threw 6.2 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts to earn his first win of the season. Now, the next matchup is one that I think is going to be a very underrated one. These are 2 teams I watched opening weekend, and I was really impressed with both of them, and that's going to be DBU taking on UTSA. DBU's starting off the season hot, and they're 4-0. They swept Binghamton, who's one of the better teams in the America East. And then in the midweek, they beat Abilene Christian 12-3. And then UTSA is coming off a week where they swept South Dakota State and then beat UIC 10-3 in the midweek. For Dallas Baptist, one guy you're definitely going to want to tune into all season long is going to be Jake Bennett. First off, the kid absolutely rakes. He's 7 for 14 with a double and 4 home runs. One of those home runs is an inside the Parker. Would have been a double for most people, not for Jake. He put the legwork in. And I think a lot of this was fueled by the ginger mullet that he is rocking. It is something that it's unmatched in college baseball right now. I haven't seen anything like it. And again, the aerodynamics of that mullet likely contributed to the speed of that inside the park home run. So just a very dynamic bat. And then another guy you'll want to watch is going to be Ryan Martin, who for the Patriots is currently 5 for 11 with a double, a triple, and a home run. He's doing a little bit of that planes, trains, and automobiles situation, collecting a little bit of them all. So again, just a fun guy to watch. Now on the UTSA side of things, they have a very productive lineup as well. Starting things off, this offense is really led by Caden Miller, who's currently 8 for 13 on the season with 3 doubles and a home run. And then Josh Arquette is another guy who's producing at a high rate for the Roadrunners. He's currently 6 for 11 with 2 doubles and a home run. A lot of offense is going to be present in this lineup. But taking a look at the Friday guys, we're going to try to limit that offense. Starting things off for Dallas Baptist, they're going to have Russ Smith, who delivered 4 innings of 2-run baseball while striking out 6 in his debut for the Patriots. He's a transfer from Cowley College, where last season he posted a 3.6 ERA, striking out 71 batters while only walking 14 across 55 innings pitched. So he's just a real dominant force on the mound. Now for UTSA, they started off the season with a little bit of a hiccup on the mound where preseason All-American Robert Orlowski earned the start. He went 1 inning and then left in the first inning with a little bit of an injury. So I'm hoping it was something minor, something he can bounce back from. Hope we can see him soon. But his injury did make way for Mike DiBattista to get the start, going 3 innings and striking out a pair against South Dakota State. So definitely a guy I could see filling in that role, as he did a great job in a spot start when he really wasn't expecting to go in that early, I'm assuming. Now, the next series I'm excited for is going to be Rutgers at Virginia Tech, and my biggest hope for this series is just that they can stream all 3 games consecutively with no hiccups. I know that there were a couple of games last week where they weren't streamed and fans were upset about that, and I know, being a Virginia alumni, I'm not supposed to wish good upon Virginia Tech, but everybody deserves to get to watch their college baseball team. That's a basic human right. Now, for this one, Rutgers is coming into town. They're 3-1 on the season. They had a 4-game set to start off the season against the College of Charleston, which those are extremely hard to get a sweep in. So going 3-1, that's exceptionally well done out of them. And then Virginia Tech is 4-0 to start the season. They swept William and Mary, and then they beat ETSU 7-5 in the midweek. For Rutgers, a guy you definitely want to tune into is going to be Peyton Bonds. He transferred in from Campbell last season, and this season he's really found his own. He's currently 8 for 19 with a double and a home run. And if you follow baseball, you may know his uncle Barry was a very good home run hitter. So again, it's in the gene pool. He has that swing. It's a beautiful swing. Definitely a guy you'll want to watch. Now on the Hokies side of things, a guy you'll want to tune into is going to be Sam Grube, who's currently 6 for 15 with 3 doubles on the season. And then another guy who's been producing at a very high rate for them is Owen Petrich, who's currently 4 for 15, but he has a double and a home run. So again, 2 guys who have that potential and a lot of upside at the plate. Now from the pitching side of things, I'm expecting to see a longer outing out of Brett Renfroe. Last weekend, he only went 2 innings while picking up 4 strikeouts, but he did surrender 2 runs. But this is a pitching staff that's really dominant, and they have a really strong bullpen. They ended up that game striking out 16 combined as a staff while issuing 0 walks. Now, another series I'm looking forward to is going to be West Virginia at Liberty. Both of these teams only played on opening weekend and didn't play a midweek. West Virginia is currently 3-0 on the season, sweeping Georgia Southern. And then Liberty went 2-1 against the Citadel on opening weekend to kick off their season. For the Mountaineers, 2 bats you're going to want to watch. First off, you're going to want to tune into Matthew Graveline. He's currently 5 for 13 with a double and 2 home runs. And then Gavin Kelly's off to a hot start as well. He's 5 for 12 with 3 doubles on the season. On Liberty's side of things, 2 guys you'll want to tune into is going to be Nick Barone, who's currently 3 for 11 with 2 doubles and a home run. So all of his hits have been extra base hits. No sense wasting time with singles. He only wants to get on second or greater. And then Jordan Jaffe is another guy who I think has the potential to be a really big bat for them this year. He's currently 4 for 11 on the season with a double and a triple. For West Virginia on Friday, I expect they'll start Chancing Cole, who went 2.2 innings against Georgia Southern, picking up 3 strikeouts while surrendering 2 runs and 2 walks. He's a transfer from Newberry College, so a guy who's just getting his feet wet in his first Division I outing. But again, lots of promise there. I'm excited to see what he'll do in weekend 2. And then on the Liberty side of things, they're going to throw one of the best guys in the nation and Conference USA preseason pitcher of the year, Ben Blair, who led Liberty to a 7-3 opening day win over the Citadel. He only needed 72 pitches to go 6 scoreless innings of work, which is just insane. He struck out 8 batters while not issuing a single walk and only surrendering 1 hit while picking up his 11th career win for Liberty. Now, the final series I wanted to go over, and the one I'm particularly fired up for, is going to be TCU at UCLA. These are 2 Omaha caliber clubs. If they aren't going to play each other this early in the season, they're likely playing each other in June, which, those are always a good matchup. But this is one that, again, I think will be a really exciting one, especially for weekend 2 of the college baseball season. So starting things off, TCU kicked off their season beating Vanderbilt in Arkansas, then losing to Oklahoma and dropping a midweek this week to UT Arlington. Then UCLA is off to a hot start. They're currently 3-1 on the season. They took 2 out of 3 from UC San Diego, and they also beat one of the best teams in the nation in Tulane in the midweek 13-5, which it's not easily done. Tulane is projected to win the American Conference by me. So again, really impressive win out of UCLA. And they did it while it was raining, which was impressive to me because I feel like those kids are probably not used to rain in that climate. So again, just a really good, solid game. For TCU, 2 bats you'll want to keep your eye on. First off, you're going to want to watch Chase Brunson. He's 6 for 14 with 4 doubles. And then freshman shortstop Lucas Franco is a guy who really impressed me. He's only 2 for 11, but both of his hits, he has a triple and a home run. So only extra base hits. And then at shortstop, he's got an absolute cannon for an arm. Just really fun to watch play over there. And then for UCLA, I'm going to break my rules. I'm going over 3 bats just because they have 3 guys that you're definitely going to want to tune into. The first bat, of course, going to be the first overall projected pick for the 2026 draft in Rock Chalowski, who's currently 7 for 16 with 3 doubles and 3 home runs while driving in 5 RBIs. Their first baseman, Molavai Lavu, is another guy who's off to a really hot start, and from reports from Tulane coaches, he is indeed the truth. He is 9 for 17 on the season with a double, a home run, and 6 RBIs. And then Texas transfer Will Gasparino has really found his home at UCLA. Currently 4 for 12 with a triple, 3 home runs, and 6 RBIs. Now on the mound for TCU, I'm not exactly sure who they're going to go with on Friday. As we found out this week, we got some really bad, big-time bummer news in regards to Tommy Laporte, where he's going to miss his start this weekend with a little bit of elbow soreness. So hopefully, he's talking with team doctors about, this will be a good weekend to rest, get back to healthy. Hopefully it's nothing big or major. Obviously, really fun to watch pitch, but again, he has a lot of potential and a really big bright side in his career, so hoping he can get back to healthy sooner rather than later. On the weekend, though, they'll also have Mason Brassfield, who threw last Saturday, and last Sunday they had Lance Davis, all of which are really solid options that I'm sure we'll see this weekend, so excited to see which ones can fill Laporte's shoes. Now, on the mound, UCLA will likely be going with on Friday Logan Redeman, who earned the win in his UCLA debut. He allowed 3 runs over 5 innings with 6 strikeouts and only surrendering 5 hits against UC San Diego. And they're a really solid lineup, so he did a good job limiting the damage and working around those hits. So again, just a guy I've been really impressed with so far, and it'll be fun to watch him take on this TCU lineup. Now, those are my 10 series that I'm excited to watch for this weekend. Obviously, I didn't go into every weekend series across the nation because there are a lot of them. So feel free to comment below which weekend series you're most excited for, and more importantly, why I should be excited for that too. And then I'll get excited for it, and then the list will be 11 or potentially 12. But thank you as always for tuning in. I always appreciate the support. College baseball is so rad, and it's because of people like you who want to invest. You want to spend your free time learning more about it. So thank you as always for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe for more college baseball content all season long.